fine Saturday afternoon. If anybody, I didn't pre-schedule this, so if anybody jumps on the live stream, I appreciate someone letting me know if you guys can hear me and see me. So just wanted to, this format I talked about, hey Mark, can you hear me and see me clearly, Mark? Talked about this format. Hey Matt, Uncle Matt, Sir the Craftsman. Hi guys, Bugsy. Okay, so I figured out the technology. The last weekend I was sideways, so talked about last weekend starting this format with you guys where we just really just talk about stuff, kick around thoughts from the week. It's kind of a time, and I don't have an agenda. I put that in the title, so I don't have anything. I haven't combed any articles today. Nothing really going on with the news. By the book, hi. I can see you guys pretty clear on the comments, so it's my turn, my chance to kind of get to know you guys and maybe field some question and answer stuff. Talk about things that are important to us, and maybe you know, as this grows, we'll grow the community, and we'll you know, a lot of YouTube people, including ones I watch, you know, accessibility for me is living trusts. Yeah, I'll talk about that. I will for sure. Accessibility is always important. You always watch these people and say it'd be great to kind of, you know, ask them something about their life or their background, or, you know, kind of, you know, what shaped them. Saw that about the nuclear submarines. Crazy. You know, what shaped them? What is their background? Hey, Joe. And I'm not going to do that during the week because it's my time to kind of, a lot of you specialize in business, real estate. I do a fair amount of estate planning as well. About 60% litigation, by the way, 40% transaction, a lot of trial work. I will talk about health and fitness. It's on my list to talk about the fitness journey, where I've come from. We'll break all this stuff down. Maybe not today, but you know, over time, happy to share that with you. And you know, if there's one person on this live stream that that I can help or impart some knowledge, then cool. Then I'll keep doing it. And the world's upside down. It's tough right now. Things are a little bit crazy. You guys saw what happened Friday. If you watched the video from Friday with the jobs numbers and all the kind of chaos with the markets, and to see how this plays out. There's definitely a lot happening. But anyway, the point of this weekend format is not for me to talk kind of to you guys, but for us to kind of just interact. Hey, Roger, how you doing? Share some thoughts. And I've got a list of stuff that we can throw out over time, but also, you know, what's on your mind, what's going on with you guys. I'm not going to jump into hi, Debbie. Not going to jump into deep into politics, things like that, because it's so polarizing, and I'm just really not about that. There's so many other things that we can talk about. Everybody needs to, you know, work on self-improvement, me included. We all have vices. We all have, you know, insecurities. We all have things that we've gone through. We have background history, and so this channel, kind of from day one, was always about the theme was starting your own business and, you know, being your own boss, and maybe trying to impart some stuff to folks that I've learned over, you know, 55 years of life, but 30 years as a practicing California lawyer, you know, husband, father, you know, all this kind of stuff. Gone through, seen a lot of stuff, right? Lived through the GFC, and we've all lived through, you know, obviously the pandemic situation. So world is crazy, a lot going on. So that is what this format's about, just to get your guys' questions and to talk about stuff. And as long as I get some input, I'll keep talking until I get tired, and we'll go from there. So what's going on? How heavy into metals and commodities should we consider? You know, I've been for probably 15 years, maybe a little bit less, really into precious metals in terms of alternative way to kind of be outside the system and as a savings plan. And everyone's got their own ideas. And yes, look, at gold and silver doesn't have dividends. My stock market buddies beat up on me all the time about that. But yet I'm up 30%. Matt, I understand. We'll talk about Bitcoin as well. I'm up 30% on gold or whatever it is, and a lot on silver. And my friends aren't doing as well in the stock market right now, all in year to date, even though the market is at all-time high. So again, I'm not against any particular investment class or asset class. I can learn from you guys, just like you can get my thoughts and input. And I don't think anybody's got the answer. Frankly, I don't, because as soon as you think you know everything, then you've got a real problem. And that's, I guess, one of my issues I take with a lot of the stuff I see on social media, just in my everyday life as an attorney, is everybody's a know-it-all, right? They all know everything, and they're not listening; they're talking. And so again, back to the format for this weekend live is I'm talking during the week. I'm sharing things that I think are important with you guys, and this is kind of my chance to talk also, but listen, right? Mark, stock market gains, just bought me Cobra replica with 427. Look, there's no doubt a lot of people have made tremendous gains in the market. And we talk about average year-to-date stuff. Dreamer's Seat, hello. We talk about average, year-to-date returns. And of course, your mileage will vary because individual stock picks can be overwhelmingly beneficial or detrimental depending on what you pick, right? Same thing with anything else you do, right? You've got to be careful, and you've got to make sure you do your due diligence and do your research. But again, individual stock picks can be phenomenal, just like crypto, right? Some of these young folks that are buying into these meme coins, and I don't recommend that. I don't necessarily. I think it's smart, but some of these guys have inside information. They're making 10,000% in a month. So it's position, it's timing, it's knowledge, all that kind of stuff. Look, I think we're having a low right now. Cryptos are the big three are still trading in connection kind of with the broader indexes. But I think that as much as I would have said a couple of years ago, I didn't want to hear about AI, I didn't want to talk about it. Crypto, didn't want to hear about it and didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to learn about it. I think that it is heading that direction. Okay. And I love a crystal ball, but I think that some of these cryptocurrencies are going to do massive, let's say wealth appreciation, massive transfer of wealth. There's a reason, guys, why, BlackRock and some of these huge corporations. Hi, Frank, how you doing? Southern Illinois, welcome. So are you guys 2 hours ahead back there? 2 or 3? Because it's 3:45 my time here on the West Coast. But you're going to have probably massive appreciation in this stuff. Debbie, 2 hours. Oh, hours. Okay. 5:45. You're going to have massive appreciation in some of this stuff. And I know I get beat up by talking about that because, people that are, really into precious metals and are gold bugs or silver bugs just don't want to take that leap. And I understand that, and I don't criticize that. I've taken the leap a little bit, and I've started, learn about it a little bit and understand there's a reason why these billionaires are piling into this stuff. If they thought it was going to be a loser's game, they wouldn't be doing it. Now, I will say this: it's if we want to work a foreclosure, is it as easy as walking into a bank and ask about their inventory? Some banks will share. I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry, guys. Trying to read this. Hey, Ox. What is it? I can't read it. Sorry. The something 47. Hi. Sorry. My eyes are terrible. Some of those foreclosures you can walk by the way into the bank and talk about their inventory and get information. If it's a local bank and you have a relationship with your banking people, at my local bank, I do. I know those guys, so you can get access to the information ahead of time. And again, prior knowledge is important, like anything you do. If you can get that stuff, get it. But generally, it's not publicized, right? A lot of times, they don't want you to know how many defaults they have going on, right? Because that's not good for their deposits and on their balance sheets. So again, sidetrack, but we could talk about anything you guys want to talk about. And I think everybody wants to know about, what do you put money into? What do you do? And I wish I had a crystal ball. I think we are heading into a time where we're going to see a weaker dollar. I think the rates are going to start coming down. The pressure is going to mount, given what we saw last week, even if it's half truth. And you're going to see certain asset classes appreciate. Again, not financial advice, just give you my personal opinion. Certain asset classes appreciate over time. Slim Shady, how you doing? Michael Clark, massive layoffs. I think that's true, yeah. It's heading in that direction. So that's why I keep preaching all the time about finding something you guys can do to set up your own situation and on the light. Set up your situation and get yourself independent from your boss. You're not be your own boss, right? My first show 18 months ago was be your own boss. And I know I got a comment on a video from someone this morning saying that, what was the comment? Something to the effect, it takes disposable income to start your own business. And I responded, I think it was a lady, I responded and said, I've seen that, or I've read that most billionaires say if you took everything away that we have and gave us $100, we'd have that $1 billion back in short time. It's a mindset, okay? It's a mindset. And most people don't believe in themselves, and they don't want to put the work in. A lot of people that's needed to build something, and they don't believe in themselves. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't. And self-confidence, you gain from success, you gain from experience, but you also gain from, losing, right? Having, fighting battles and losing those battles and say, okay, note to self, I got to change that up next time. But it's sad because I do get some of those comments. One guy said, I need to find a job. I said, why don't you create your own job? Why don't you start your own business and make your own way, right? Work for yourself. So some might say easier said than done, but a lot of it's just starting with something, starting somewhere. So I don't know how that resonates, with people, and appreciate you guys being here. So the weekend session, by the way, I'll probably do this on Saturday afternoons. Sundays, Saturday is my day off from working out. I work out 6 days a week. I take Saturday off. And so Sunday I work out in the morning, and then Sunday after my workout, I go and I help my mom. My mom's 83 years old. She lives out here not too far from me, and she's got some problems, so mobility issues and health issues. I go over to her house on the weekends and on Sunday, and I help her out, water and take out the trash, and we talk. I go to the store for her, things like that. So Sunday's kind of time challenged for me, and I come home in the afternoon and family time, dinner and such. So Saturday probably will be the live format. And again, if you guys like it, then we'll keep doing it. Now, as long as there's things to talk about and you guys keep feeding me thoughts, and I've got a my little notepad here and my pen as well. God always takes off on Sundays. That's true, Roger. I know you're right. But I also want to stay being a good son. I will. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. I have a younger brother and sister, and they're not local. So wide awake. Hi from Black Hills. Welcome. Trying to do the best I can, right, with the time permitting. But my brother and sister aren't local, so it falls upon me to get over there and spend some time. And I wrestle with this because it's hard. It's tough because you want to do the right thing, but you have all these things pulling at your time. And I do feel guilty sometimes for not trying to make more effort. But anyway, I do make every Sunday, get over there and help her out and for a few hours, and we sit and talk and have a little snack and stuff like that. Matt says, try Mobile Mechanic and Rock Auto Parts. Another fantastic live stream. Hi, how you doing, Keisha? So we're going to keep going with this Saturday. And if I can, if I can help just a couple people to maybe provide. Have you looked into David Rogers Webb's theory in The Great Taking? Thoughts as a lawyer? I have not. The Great Taking. I'll make a note. I'll look into it. But look, I've got notes real quick. Starting a business, my background, my legal practice, general legal issues, my fitness routine, weight loss journey. For those of you that are struggling with that, the diet, gold and silver, faith. What are your vices? What are your hobbies? Cryptos, home ownership, financial disasters and lessons learned, my routine, and anything else you want to ask me about. Health, you, what is on your mind, your successes, help others, and your failures. Meaning that would be my thoughts to you guys, right? Do you ever do all legal streams? And we know it's not financial advice. It's interesting. I looked up today. Funny enough, I looked up the issues and my ethical obligations. They just really constrict lawyers with regard ethically to what you say and how you say it. It's amazing. It doesn't take a lot to form an attorney-client relationship in terms of the the bar guidelines. So if I'm answering specific legal questions, if it's in California, obviously I'm licensed here, and in Texas I can do that. If it's outside California or Texas, then I can't be giving advice outside where I'm licensed, or I'm committing unauthorized practice of law. So that's why I'm very careful to always tell you guys, these general legal topics where we're talking about hypotheticals, but to get your own legal advice in your area, your jurisdiction, right? I know you guys are all around the country. Some of you might be even outside the country. Hey, Ron. So I got to be careful with that, and I would like to do those. But for example, those of you in Illinois, in New York, in Florida, whatever, the laws are different than California, or let's say Texas. Yes, general legal theories apply. Yes, we could talk about hypotheticals and such, but I have to be cautious with that, okay? So the answer is I'm happy to field general stuff, and if I can maybe direct you down the right path, I would like to do that. I'm trying to also, by the way, through some of these recent affiliate relationships, set up options for you guys to go to if you really are struggling, okay, and you can't afford counsel to do certain things, then you have some options. So I'm trying to find that. I'm also working hard to set up not a quote unquote referral service, but giving you guys some resources for firms around the country that I can send you to handle issues that might come up for you. If you get into a car accident, or I don't know, you need a bankruptcy lawyer or a divorce lawyer, this or that, I'm giving that some thought about putting together a database. I don't know anything about that, Roger. I have no idea. I'm following it. That's just that's a tough call. Who knows what they're doing behind the scenes, and that there's probably a quid pro quo on that whole situation. It's an odd deal, so I'm staying away from that hot potato on the whole Epstein Giselle thing for a reason. Okay, co-op homes know nothing about it. I'm your daddy. Sorry, can't comment on that. What else did I wanted to bring to your attention? And again, yesterday. Sorry, I'm your daddy. Sorry. Guys, with these names. Yesterday, just to touch on the jobs report, not to kind of rehash stuff, but hey, Ron, not to rehash stuff, but I got some comments today about the jobs thing and the firing, and there's pushback, I guess, by even people in the same party on this, and I don't know. My take is this: those revisions were so huge that you have to question if it's accurate. If the revisions are accurate, then how in the first place did they come up with those jobs created? What did they base the assessment on? I kind of like it when A plus B equals C, and frankly, I'll diverge here. I was going to say my analytical mind, forces that. And in terms of lawyers in general, those that watch the channel know I'm a practicing lawyer, but I don't. Sorry to any lawyers out there. I don't like most lawyers. I really don't. I don't hang out with them. I don't socialize with them. I'm not a member of local. But yeah, exactly. It does. That's the problem now. It doesn't anymore, and that's my theme. That's my theme is A plus B doesn't equal C anymore at all, and so you got to kind of piece it together. But anyway, just I don't hang out with them. I don't go to bar functions. I don't socialize. I think that these guys, a lot of them in this profession, are kind of self-righteous, a-holes, and I don't super over analytical. It's good to have analytical mind and look at things maybe from different perspectives, but the legal professions become interesting. So kind of do my own thing, and that's one reason why that I'm a small practitioner. And am I planning to leave California, Joe? Right now, the answer is no. I understand the pitfalls here. Trust me, I write the checks every year for the taxes and the fees and all this. I get it. I see how things are falling apart. I see what's going on in LA. I used to live in South Bay. I was going to law school downtown LA. For 3 years, used to work in the West Side, live in the South Bay, Redondo Beach, drove the whole thing. It was a great place to be. It had issues, but it was better. Now I don't go to Los Angeles, so there's major issues. The Bay Area, not even going to talk about the Bay Area. It's just not something that I don't go there. So, but there are a lot of beautiful things here, beautiful places. The answer is no. I have my oldest daughter is starting. Markets are rigged. Christopher Endura. Look, I think right now, I think you have to probably presume everything is kind of rigged. I mean, look, everything is rigged. If not rigged, it's manipulated. Are you guys going to tell me that the metals market's not manipulated? Of course it is. The crypto market's manipulated now. Okay, you can't have Strategy and BlackRock and 21 Capital, and all these companies buying up, thousands and millions of billions of dollars of Bitcoin and having the price go down. This doesn't make sense, right? You can't have central bank demand for gold where it's at right now, and coming back down. Yes, it's been pretty high. Silver, not going to go there. It's been if you're into silver, you got to believe in it. Again, either you have conviction or you don't. However, it's been a long journey for the silver people, right? Been on that train with you guys, right? As soon as we start to think, and look, it's hugely undervalued. Doesn't mean it's going to change anytime soon, because you've got an amazing amount of paper silver contracts shorting this stuff. And anyway, same with crypto. So they put in these sell walls in some of these cryptocurrencies, and you can't get through the sell walls, and so it's like a slow bleed. Anything else, same stuff with stocks. So JB said it's 8,000 to rent. Yeah, I know, Roger. I saw that. I saw him say that, and that doesn't surprise me. And you should be frank. Good. Me too. No. If you have conviction, you believe in it. You don't change that just because the price is up and down. But you have to recognize it's manipulated, and hopefully someday it has its day. But yeah, I saw the point from JB, and that's it doesn't surprise me. Everything's expensive right now, and then he's got to pay to, of course, get his vehicles across the country and such as well. Matt Millard, silver is great. Yep, no complaints, guys, with silver. I like it myself, but physical silver. Best way to invest, 91,000. What's the best way to invest, Brian? I like to get your guys' thoughts on stuff because and some people, look, everyone's in a different situation. My yield is my law practice, other things I'm doing in business. I don't necessarily need to be, getting, I say yield, dividends and such, but certain place in your, oh, you're asking me best thing to invest in. Personally, what am I doing? Personally, not financial advice or trading advice. Personally, I believe in metals. I think the dollar is going to keep falling in value, and the metals have to go up. I believe, and this is going to, not sit well with some people, but I think the big cryptocurrencies, the big three, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, is, guys, I'm just telling you, you can not believe it, not do the research, but it's going that direction. Just like AI, where you can sit by and watch it, and watch it pass us by, or it might get 1-to-1 with gold, and watch it pass us by or not. And stocks may keep running too. Look, if the interest rates fall, or if they're cut, if the money printing machines turn back on, dollars being destroyed on purpose. Yeah, I think that's probably true. But if the rates start coming down, everything's gonna skyrocket again. You're gonna have blow-offs in every asset. You're gonna have stock market go crazy, gold and silver are gonna go crazy, cryptocurrency is gonna go crazy, real estate's gonna get off the X. People are gonna start taking out mortgages again and buying real estate. It's gonna be this continued euphoria of probably every asset class going up. I'm not even so sure of any asset class that won't go up. If the environment that I see unfolding in the near future actually unfolds, then AI, though, and I'll talk about AI in a second, unfolds, it's going to keep happening. Now, AI is it's probably already cutting into jobs. And so, again, full circle back to, I hope people are taking this seriously. If you're clocking in every day on a 9 to 5 for somebody, depending on what you do for a living, if you're in a warehouse, if you're in certain roles, look at Amazon. Amazon's already got, what, 1,000? Yeah, Brian, I think it's good. Well, it should come back down, but the timing of these rate cuts, if this starts happening, post haste, you may start seeing a pickup again. I don't know about real estate. It's a tough one. I mean, we've seen big appreciation right now. It's gone parabolic the last few years. But anyway, sorry guys, I got sidetracked where I was going, but the AI stuff is going to eat into jobs. Oh yeah, Amazon, 1 million robots now is taking place of 1 million people's jobs. Okay, now maybe they got shifted in other places in the company, maybe some didn't. I don't know, but 1 million. So that's just the beginning. So that's a scary thing, And AI is going to take the place of. I think AI is going to take the place of a lot of legal stuff too. I mean, a robot can't go into court, and argue a case, but a robot or AI can certainly, write a better legal brief than I can, and a better contract than I can. You think about it; it's 1 million lawyers, right there at your fingertips. So the next crypto winter will get real messy. It might, but I've been hearing from my guys that laugh at me about crypto, saying crypto winter, when Bitcoin dropped to $78,000, and I piled in, everyone was laughing, saying we're going into a crypto winter, and now it's 113. It was 118 last week. So you never own a home, title states, tenant by the entirety. We are tenants. Well, it's a good point. Even if you own your home free and clear, you don't really own it, right? Because you have taxes, okay? And so as long as you owe the government taxes and obligation, they can take your home. If you don't pay your taxes, eventually, in California, it's 5 years. I know other states it's less than that. If you don't pay your real property taxes, they will schedule a tax lien sale and they'll take your home. So, some might say, well, you never really own your home. I wrestle with that whole idea, by the way, because, some people say, well, it's stupid to have a mortgage. If you can own your own home, own it. But, for some people, mortgages provide not over leveraged stuff, not bad deals, not 8-10% rates or such, but you get tax benefits from some of that stuff too. And depending on your tax situation, your income situation, hi Shelly, I think property taxes is a crime. Congratulations, your daughter going to college is your best investment. Oh, okay, so sidetracked again. So my oldest daughter is she's going to be going third year down to UCSD in San Diego. phenomenal school. She's excited. So she's here. I have a daughter 2 years behind, my oldest daughter, and she's got to figure it out. So right now, we are here in California. No immediate plans to uproot and move. And so I will just bite the bullet here for a while, and deal with having family and kids and the things that we need to do as parents to kind of get them to where they need to be, right? Clearwater, another miracle. Okay, that's good, Brian. So no plans to leave California. I would really like to, in the next 3 to 5 years, wind down the law practice. I will say I'm Shelly. No, yeah. Actually, Jeremiah and I texted today on some other stuff. So yeah, we texted on some other stuff, and he's doing well, and I'm happy for him. I think that's gonna be a good thing. He's wanted to go down south for a while now, and he's been down there and looked at it, and so I think that'll be great for him. But anyway, lost train of thought again. Great news. Glad you talked. Yeah. So the as much as some don't believe in college, some do believe in college. I am obviously a postgraduate, a graduate degree study, but I wouldn't say this to my kids right now, but college is not what it used to be, and these kids are going to school for communications degrees, right, and running up debt and coming out with basically zero skills, right? What are you going to do with a communications degree? You're going to go at, your communication will be, would you like, cold foam on that latte, sir? I know that I shouldn't say that. Some of you might have communications degrees and be doing real well, but right now that seems to be the fallback for a lot of these young people, that it just doesn't have any future. You've got to drill. If you're going to spend the money to go to school and do it, you've got to drill down to something that actually has some marketability, taking into account and trying to think right down the road a bit in terms of what the heck is going to be viable after and while AI continues to evolve into society and take over jobs. So I don't know. As a father of young kids, it's very, very scary, right? Different world than even I, came up through school. So those of you that are in your 50s, 60s, maybe older, probably understand that. Appreciate you guys being here. 71 of you in the room. Have your house paid off. That's good, Shelley. College degree isn't as strong as it used to be. Christopher, that's unfortunately, but the reality is it's true. Unless really you have a niche, but so how many people come out of high school, right, and start a business, a service business, something, and they're so far ahead, right? Because these students that go, or these kids, I don't say kids, that sounds insulting, because some of them are not kids by age, but they spend years getting book smarts, and that does not impart any street smarts. We all know that college. Look, I didn't learn anything in law school. I learned, how to find a case, how to do this. I basically learned how to pass a test, and and maybe it helps you with your analytical skills, but it's you have to learn by doing. Okay. So a lot of these, Shelley is still buying silver. Absolutely. Why not? Keep buying it. Silver's undervalued, even at $36, $37, in my opinion. So, yep, college is not what it used to be, unfortunately. Texas is now Dubai. Texas is interesting. And Texas, some of the markets have been, and my sister has a place over in Austin because one of her children went to school there. And that place is the markets have gotten destroyed over there. And look, at the reality is, people say that as Californians move into other states, they ruin the state, right? So a buddy of mine, developer friend of mine, years ago, bought up in Idaho, and little by little, Idaho started getting infiltrated by Californians, and then Arizona was infiltrated right by Californians, and then hey Chris, welcome. Other cryptos other than Bitcoin. I mean, look, right now, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP are my plays. I've been dabbling a little bit in some of the other altcoins, but you got to be real careful with that, and you don't risk any more than you could lose. The liquidity is low, and you got to be very, very careful. But anyway, in Texas, right? Then California started going to Texas, and not only do they change, the states politically, but they changed the markets. You purchase crypto with fiat company worth zero, so is crypto is worthless too. It's interesting. I don't know. I think the fiat is, I would say, if you have cash sitting in a safe, from my personal perspective, that's the worst place you could be sitting in. Now, is it smart to have some cash for emergencies if something happens and the bank closes down or you need cash? Absolutely. I think that's just common sense. You should have some cash. But in terms of sitting in cash, having a bunch of money just sitting in your bank account that you're not using, that's not real. What's it getting you? A little minimal percent, right? North Dakota. Okay. So I think that, things that are going to generate you, capital appreciation, whatever you think that might be. Maybe you think that's gold. And yeah, gold does not pay dividends, but look at the appreciation from gold this year and last year, right? Look at the appreciation on silver. Look at the appreciation on Bitcoin, okay? And some of the other coins. Depends on when you get in this stuff. It depends on what you believe. Everyone's got their own plan. I don't think there's a perfect formula, unfortunately. We're in uncharted territory right now with regard to, you have to understand that, look what happened to the Roman Empire. I'm not a student of history, okay? But the Roman Empire, it fell because, as I understand it, because of the debt. So Bitcoin trying to free millions. Well, they say Bitcoin was for the people, and now what's happening is the people are being excluded because the BlackRocks and the Michael Saylors, and the 21 Capitals. Hi, Maggie. Welcome. Investing in the stock market next week or waiting for the market to drop more. That's a tough call. I said on my video yesterday, I wouldn't be surprised. Could be totally wrong. Not a crystal ball. Don't trade on this, but I would be surprised if the markets bounce next week because, if the markets believe even a portion of the jobs report, that the labor market is going in the wrong direction, they've got to believe that September is going to be definitely on the table. September, and maybe at least 2 rate cuts this year, and the markets want cheaper money. Right? They want the rates down, and so that would, from my perspective, foster more further all-time highs, in the market, right? So. I don't know if it's going to happen next week. You may have more sell-off next week and more uncertainty. Depends on what happens with this changing of the guard and people being fired or people resigning. Met Trump in Maryland. Tulsa's pretty underrated. Markets drop just for a little. It seems to buy the dip. Yeah, that's true. The markets seem to simply rebound. They just simply always seem to bounce back. But you kind of see that right now in all asset classes because, people don't want to be sitting in the dollar. And, it's not just, people here in the United States. It's, other countries. I have an article I was going to share with you guys last week, and I got overwhelmed with some other stuff and some other items came up. Mining stocks. Look, mining stocks. I have friends in mining stocks. I was at the Silver Symposium, I don't know, 2.5 years ago or such out in Las Vegas, and met some great YouTube guys out there. Have maintained friendships with them, now and developed friendships. But we, talked about, and I met a guy who was really heavily into mining stocks. The problem with the mining stocks is they're not lately, again, I could be wrong, because even some friends of mine are mining stocks. They just don't seem to keep up. Now, they should eventually, I keep hearing the eventually, those are going to take off. But I don't think mining stocks have kept up on a percentage basis with the rise in the spot price of gold and silver. Someone comment, am I wrong about that? I could be dead wrong. I got some friends who are in mining stocks. I do not right now. Hi, Nicole. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I do not own any mining stocks right now. Not because I don't believe in them. I just haven't taken the time to investigate and get involved. So I don't. But I'm not saying it's not a great place to be. Again, you want to buy any assets when they're pulling back, not when they are rallying, because that's where people get the whole idea of the FOMO and getting beat up. But again, you've got to decide what things are long-term plays. Silver will become impossible to get. I hope so. I mean, I've been hearing that, and I'm not disputing what you're saying. I've been hearing that for ever since I started stacking silver, that it'll be impossible to get the supply. I sure hope that's the case. You would think that is the situation with supply and demand, but it has to start. Fremont House, welcome, thank you. It has to start playing out that way, right? It has to start playing out a little bit at some point. So we see an actual translation into the darn prices. Anyway, with any assets, you've got to decide kind of what makes sense and what's going to be important in the future. Again, I keep getting sidetracked, and that's why I'm doing these on this live stream on the weekend, so I can try to digest your comments and respond and keep my train of thought. Where we at, guys? 74 in the room. I appreciate you being here. We'll keep doing this live stream on probably Saturday afternoon, the East Coast time, probably dinner time, interrupting your guys' dinner on the East Coast. But come out here for, I don't know, how long are we going? We're going for 42 minutes. We'll come out here and sit around and talk and kick around some ideas. No agenda. Everybody's welcome. All ideas are welcome, and thoughts and input. And you guys have any specific things for me in terms of questions? Grandson, and asked for his rocket. What a blessing. Okay, that's good. You still chat with JB Paul? Yep, we do. We still talk. Not as much, but yeah, we have been. So, how's California doing? Well, I mean, as a state, I'm doing fine. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the politics. There's just obviously there's things going on here that personally I'm not on board with. But grew up here, raised here, seen it transition, and right now I don't have any plans to be leaving the state. But I do not partake or participate in the political structure at all. So UCSD, buy the book. You know what? It's crazy. It is. She got into UCSD. She got into UCI, which is Irvine. She got into UCSB. We went up there. Beautiful place. She got into USC. USC wants $100,000, guys, right now for tuition. $100,000. For tuition. So you think about that. She got into Pepperdine 2 years ago, Pepperdine with a partial scholarship. Pepperdine is in Malibu. Pepperdine wanted $96,000 as a freshman for her. And, I mean, a lot of families that can simply write the check. But even if you can, you've got to just wonder, what's going on. And a lot of these kids are borrowing money, when they're 18, 19 years old to go to some of these schools. And, and they're coming out in massive amount of debt. Anyway, yeah, USC wanted about $100,000, and they don't really give away a lot of scholarships either. So I appreciate that. UCSD, I think so. Beautiful place. La Jolla is a safe area. The transportation's phenomenal. You got Canada's upset with our prime minister. Yeah, I'm not following too much of that. Yeah, obviously we have a lot of look. The desert, by the way, where I live, traditionally, the Canadians, no, not 96 for 4 years, Paul, $96,000 per year. Yeah, no, per year, and USC $100,000 per year, just tuition. Then you got to figure in living costs, food, transportation, whatever it is. It's absolute insanity. I met someone I was talking with the other day who got into it. She's a young person that I met out, and she going to the same law school I went to back in the mid '90s, and she was telling me what they charge per unit, how much per unit the prices are, and I just was shocked. What per unit costs at this law school I went to in LA, but it's insane. So yeah, those tuition costs do not. That doesn't include the room and board stuff. So you got to pay to play, and you got to wonder if it makes sense. Okay, and so I can't. I'll say this obviously on the live stream to 70 of you guys, but it's hard to justify that, right? I don't mean from the cost perspective, even you can afford it. It's hard to say that what you're getting in return is worth it now, given where we're probably heading as a society in terms of the job market, what's going to be important, what's going to be marketable, what's not going to be marketable. So things are changing very rapidly. All right, guys, throw me some more thoughts, comments, questions, anything you want to hear about. I'm happy to stay on, but I don't. State tuition was better. In-state tuition. Oh yeah, my sister has kids going out of state. She's has them in a couple different states, and the out-of-state tuitions are even worse for families that put their kids in different states. It's nuts. Of course, and I won't even go down this road right now. Don't start me on the whole idea of subsidy. Subsidies. My kids went to a private high school here in the desert. Have you bought any tax liens? Fremont. I'll talk about that in a second. Private high school, and I came to learn that 50% of the kids at the high school were on 100% scholarships. Okay, so what that meant to me is that the other 50%, okay, were paying for them, right? Again, just throwing it out there. Okay, you're getting the same thing with these college tuition fees, right? They're giving out these scholarships, and then the paying families are subsidizing. So tax liens. Let me talk about the tax liens. And if you guys watch the Economic Ninja and Travis's show, Travis and I are friends too. And I looked into it. I watched some of the material. I researched it. I think it's a great opportunity for people. Yes, survival foods, yes, prepping, food storage, get home bags, all that stuff, guys. Yeah, I've been on some of the coaching calls, Fremont. We'll talk about that. I'll put it on my list to do. We'll dedicate time to all that because I'm definitely, I do that. I've been doing it for a long time. So, but the tax liens, focus for a second on this. My personal perspective. I'm not downplaying it. You've got, from my understanding of it, when you put the capital into the first tax lien, if it doesn't get paid off, you've got to be prepared to keep, I say chasing that, and they call it wrapping it up, right? Which means you've got to you have to be prepared to keep buying up the future tax liens to kind of stay in the game, so to speak. And again, some of that I may be misled on. There's a lot of opportunity there to make a return. Okay, you can make, 6, 10, 15, 20%, 30%. If it goes a period of time where you're not paid, then your remedy is to basically, if you will, foreclose your tax lien, or whatever the right terminology is. So you got to be prepared. And maybe if you're playing to develop a portfolio of real estate, okay, and you're gonna wait the time and do it, it's probably a good way to do it, right? Because you can pick up some massive portfolio by taking over properties. But if you are just simply buying them and then getting them paid off at whatever the interest rate is, you got to decide whether or not that is a sufficient rate of return for you. Are there other investments that will yield you more than 10, 12, 20, 30% for your time and your money? Because you have parted with the capital, right? Once you buy a tax lien for, let's say, I don't know, let's say $5,000. That money, you've parted with that money. Yes, you're going to get it paid back with interest and such, assuming it's cured, okay, at some point. But if it's not, you've got to be prepared to take over the title. So for me personally, and I told Travis this, in all candidness, that for me personally, I was looking at some other stuff. Okay. So, but it is an opportunity for folks that want to be diversified and it's a great way to start kind of a side business. Okay. We're talking about starting your own business and having a side hustle. That's a great little business to have. You don't have to put a lot of money in. You could buy tax liens for a couple $100s, right? And make a return. So it's a low barrier of entry. Okay. But if you think that larger sums of capital could be better used to generate more return, I'm not going to go into what that might be. You guys can use your own judgment, give your own input on that. Anyway, that was kind of my assessment. So thanks for asking about the tax liens. And, part of it is this too, guys, is my glass is as a litigator. And as you know, I do a lot of real estate litigation work. And I understand what it takes, at least in California, to quiet title to a property. I understand what it takes to try to cancel, a lien on property or to clear title through litigation. And so it's expensive. It's time. And even I could do it for myself, right, in California or Texas, but it's expensive. And so those things pop up. And you've got to, be able to see yourself clear to the right word, wrong word, it's not clear, but you want to get clear title. And if there's any issues, you have to go in and clear your title so it's marketable property. So sorry to bore you guys with that, but again, because what I do, the glass on real estate is look at and stay with that. Fremont, stay with that, because again, it's a great opportunity to get a business started and to make money. Do it. I stay with that by all means. I'm not downplaying it. It's like anything else, you got to decide with disposable income or investment capital, kind of what your priorities are, where you're going to place it, right? And that's definitely one place that you can look and make some return. Okay. And the risk, probably because you are secured, really, you're secured. You're taking the position of the, of the debtor. You're secured on those to get paid, or ultimately you get the property back. So that's my thoughts on tax lien. And of course, some states are tax deed states, so it's not even a lien issue. So if you're in a tax deed state, you have to be prepared to. He's made good. Sweet, man. Appreciate it. You'd be prepared to be involved in real estate in an area that you don't know, you're not familiar with, you have no contacts in, you have no, you have no infrastructure, okay? And then be able to have something on the ground to have contact with local agencies, governmental bodies, things like that, if a problem should arise. Okay, that's my only thoughts there. For now, anything else, guys? How is Ninja doing? Shelly, he's good. He's good. He's fine. We keep in touch. He's got a lot. He lost stuff going on, and that's great. He seems like he's busy. Champ House destroyed, sold over and over and over again. MERS. Yeah. Remember that? Remember the that stuff from the great financial crisis, when that whole debacle came up with all the robo signs and all this stuff. Very, very, very crazy time. Are we going back there? Are we going to see? Here's a question for you guys, and then we won't go too long if I don't, if we start seeing a drop off. But are we gonna see a housing collapse? Are we gonna see prices pull back? Sellers are kind of freaking out right now. They're getting frustrated. They're pulling properties off the market. Obviously, areas differ where you're at, state to state, but by and large, you've got a frozen market right now in housing. So we look at jobs. I covered that Friday. We look at housing. The videos I did the last couple of weeks on the housing market and situation have gotten a lot of views from you guys, and I appreciate that because it's important that people understand what's going on. So housing market's stuck. It's frozen. Values are very, very high. Maggie, okay, have a good appointment. I appreciate you stopping in. Thanks, Jersey. Appreciate you. Yeah, we've gone almost an hour now. I don't want to, go too long in the tooth here and have you guys get bored. But this will be a Saturday, probably a Saturday afternoon. I'm thinking format for an hour or whatever. We go as long as the old guy can sit here and keep some content being interesting. Mass layoffs will peak and taper off anytime soon. Well, we have AI coming in taking jobs, and if you believe the jobs numbers from Friday's report, thanks, Terry, I appreciate you. If you believe any of the numbers from Friday's report, even if a fraction of them are true, we've got a real problem with the housing market as well. Or excuse me, with the jobs market as well. So all I can keep impressing on you guys is, as a self-employed person now for 30 years, try to get yourself independent from an employer if you can. I know it's easier said than done. Thanks, Jersey. I appreciate you watching. It's easier said than done. I get it. I come out and say start your own business, and it takes work, it takes effort. It does in some instances take some money, but anything, right? I mean, the tax lien is a way to start your own business. Starting a little I don't know. I'm not going to go down that road right now, but think it through, guys, because to answer that question, it seems to me that we're heading into a tough period with the jobs right now. Because I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think it's all manipulated. You've always got, like anything else, every market, everything, every news data point there's something in there, right? There's something that you've got to say, that doesn't make sense, or question it. But even if that was manipulated, it's probably not all manipulated. And so let's see, what happens, and let's see what happens, with the, we've been hearing now that the tariffs are going to have an impact on rising costs, on jobs, things of that nature. And let's see how that plays out. So what else I want to share with you guys today was on my list. Those were the general topics, and those are my topics pretty much for every week, okay? Because I'm not going to come out and read stories, share data points with you guys on the weekends. Thanks, Shelly. Blessings to you too. Thanks for being here. So should we cut it for the day, guys? At about just about an hour. Any other questions before we go? Warning signs, thanks. And thanks for leaving your comments. A while ago about prepper items, and you had paper maps. I bought some on Amazon for the states I travel in. Good prep. Good. Yeah, let's continue to talk about that too. It gets lost a little bit in translation with the prepping stuff, food storage, water storage, save some for another day. This is a long journey. I don't plan on trying to cover everything today, but we will touch on that because I think that's important. And did videos on that before. It's easy to repost that stuff, but I'd rather kind of refreshing it, talk with you guys, answer questions. See you, Ron. Thanks. Appreciate you touching base here. So with that being said, let's cut it off here for the weekend live at about an hour. Thanks, Shelly. Thanks for everyone for your questions, comments, and do me a favor. Let's mark some stuff down. Write some questions, that things that you may want to ask me if you have for because I think some of this, and I'll ramble for a few more minutes. I think some of this is about credibility. I mean, I'm not trying to. Thanks by the book. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. It's not an act. I'm not trying to, be a pretty even keel. I'm pretty much this way, whether I'm talking to you guys or with my family or at the office or with friends. I'm pretty even keel. So not trying to be something out here that I'm not, every day. If you guys have questions about, anything, since, you watch the content, and I don't know, I some things I watch, I would like to, know the content people better and ask them some stuff and get to know them more. And that's not always the case. Not a lot of them most probably aren't really accessible. So like to make that an option for this channel, even if it's only for an hour or two, on the weekends. Thanks by the book. See you later. On the weekends, we'll keep doing that and see what the response is. If the response is good, and even if I can provide some guidance for, okay, thanks, Shelly, for anything, whatever it is. Okay, so we'll touch on this stuff as we go forward. Make some notes, write some questions if you have anything you want to ask me. During the week on the videos, I try to get to the comments. I can't get to all of them sometimes, respond to them. And as you guys can see, we have been, feel pretty blessed about this, been growing the, thanks, Roger, been growing the channel, and we're going to keep doing that. And part of this is the theme of consistency. And I try to impart this on my daughters as well. And it goes for anything in life. It goes certainly in business. You have to show up. You have to be consistent with your message and with your genuineness, and in order to be successful. And I'm glad that they've seen me with this process, with this channel over the last, year and a half or so, because, there was periods of time where we were actually losing a bunch of subscribers for whatever reason. Maybe it was gameplay, maybe it was some stuff. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Right. But it's been a bit of a grind. So, but you know what? Come out every day. I share some thoughts. Some people like it, some people don't. And if it resonates, great. People can take away what they want from it, and they have lots of other things they can supplement with. So consistency. Yeah, thanks, Shelly. It's cool. I'm glad. I said this last week. You know what? It might have been. I got to credit JB. It might have been JB. Before I started, I think he was the one that said to me, he always thought when he got to 10,000, he realized that people were listening, people were watching, and you kind of had to understand it and take it seriously. I believe, I don't want to misquote him, it was something to that effect. And I remember kind of thinking about that. Okay, let's keep going here. D. Trent, thanks, I appreciate it. And keep going, being consistent, and that's what it takes to have any kind of success. So hopefully you guys will impart that to everybody that is around you. It's the same thing with being punctual, having a plan, being organized, being consistent. I'm sure I'm not preaching to you guys. Everyone understands that if you have any intention of succeeding in whatever you're doing. So, all right, what else? JB's channel isn't growing. He's stuck at 2,000. Well, A. Ron Hubbard. Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, you think about at those numbers, what it takes, to make an exponential jump. I mean, for this channel, right? Thanks, DJ. For this channel, obviously, it takes less to see that because it's a smaller channel. So I think all these guys at a certain level, and they're all, look at JB and all those guys that are out there every day putting out content to try to educate you guys and help and to educate everybody and just enlighten what is happening, things you cannot maybe glean or you wouldn't glean if you're busy all day and can't catch the news, or if you are catching, mainstream type media news only, to give a different perspective on things. My anxiety levels are high. It feels like we will be going to war. I'm watching this stuff right now on moving the, everyone needs to like the live. So you're okay. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, if you guys don't mind, do me if I always say this on the videos, it's the same thing for the lives. If you don't mind hitting the like button and subscribing. If you guys aren't subscribed, we are growing the community. And the great thing is here I get to, see your input and your comments, and hopefully it doesn't scroll too much too fast. I can actually read them and get to them. And I'll get better as I do more of these live streams. I'm not afraid of the live stuff. I speak in front of people every day. It's just that during the week, I said this last week on the first live, is that I'm trying to get out some information to you guys. It's easier just to record it and then upload it. I don't edit any of these videos. I don't go back. I don't even have editing software and such. I just record them at the office, and literally within a minute, I just hit upload to YouTube, and I throw a little title up there on my mugshot. So it's pretty close to a live, but it's just easier during the week to be able to get the information out to you guys that I think is important, and then we'll save the live stuff and the kicking stuff around and talking about things for the weekend show. And right now, I feel pretty good about it. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. I've got to sign off now. I've got some family stuff to take care of, and I'm going. 1 hour and 7 minutes now. So appreciate you guys. All right, we'll end it here. And do you do real estate law? D. Trent. I do primarily real estate law. Probably of my litigation practice and transactional practice, probably real estate's about 65% real estate, probably 45%. I'd be 35%. General business, contract work, litigation, business formation. I do some estate planning. So that's my general practice, business and real estate. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. And, I'm trying to get a balance, by the way, trying to find the balance between what you guys look at. I will upload a video that I think is really important about something, and it gets no views. Nobody cares. Whatever it is. It might be a legal issue. I tried that, staying out of court. I did about 10 of those shows last year. They bombed. So, I'm trying to work in the legal stuff a little bit so I can get across some important stuff without giving you particular legal advice, hopefully help you guys work it into the economics talks once in a while as appropriate. And last week I did get some comments on the live stream saying that people did want to hear about the law stuff. Not so sure you guys want to hear about the everyday practice. I can only share obviously so much because of attorney-client privilege, but in terms of the administration ins and outs, probably kind of boring in terms of actual cases, things what's going on, courtroom battles, my daily. Fine, I can share some of that stuff. But again, I'm trying to find the balance, and we'll see where it goes. Okay, but because every day although I'm practicing law every day, I am watching what's going on with the markets. I'm watching what's going on with the economy. I'm watching, what's going on with things that are happening in current events. And so I'm doing that anyway. That's why I come on and share it in the afternoon with you guys and pick out some of the stuff that I think is key or important for us all to be paying attention to. So I'm doing the same stuff you guys are doing. All right, I'm watching it, reading it, trying to make sense of the mayhem. If it's any grandparents here, please get off pickleball court, tennis court from warning signs. It's funny. I have, here we go. All of a sudden we're going to go an hour and a half because I'll just keep talking when you guys bring up points. I have a lot of friends of mine that are doctors, good friends of mine. My workout partner is a doctor, and actually she's a brain doctor, brain surgeon, but good friends of mine, clients, and they tell me that some of the pickleball thing, a lot of injuries, a lot of pickleball injuries from these older folks who are playing pickleball, thinking it's an alternative tennis. And they're getting major injuries, knees, elbows, wrists, things of that nature. I don't know if pickleball is a thing in your guys' neck of the woods. It's kind of gotten crazy here in California, and it is injury prone. You would think it's not. Smaller court, but they're moving shorter distances, so they're bursting, right? They're getting injuries playing pickleball. Anyway, could you give us your take on the O.J. Simpson trial? You know, Roger, I was when O.J. Simpson, when that was going on, and here's a story might be interesting to some of you guys. I was living in Los Angeles at the time of the O.J. thing. And I was going to law school when the O.J. trial was unfolding. And I was sitting in Redondo Beach with my law school roommates when O.J. and it was at AC, what was his name? AC, when they were in the white Bronco and they were driving down the 405 freeway when O.J. was trying to, whatever he was doing, that's where it all started, right? Was then. And then about a year later, we rented, my friends and I, we rented a house from a doctor in Redondo Beach, beautiful place about a block off the water. You know, and one of the Kardashians, it was a cousin, I believe, was renting our guest house in the back of the property. And so we would get all this, and that was back when like Kim Kardashian and those other girls, I mean, they were probably, I don't know, 2-3 years old, something like that. And, he was intricately involved with the family and seeing all that stuff. It was very interesting times to be living in Los Angeles, going to law school. We'd be sitting in a bar drinking, on an evening after class. And I remember my criminal law professor, his name was Pugsley. He would be on TV, on whatever national news that night, giving an interview about his assessment of the O.J. situation, the trial. I remember when I graduated law school in '95, Sandra Day O'Connor was our commencement speaker, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. And Chris Darden was there. Marcia Clark was there. They were big celebrities at the time. We used to see them out. In fact, Chris Darden came and gave us a lecture in one of our classes one day. I think when he was actually just after the O.J. trial. So anyway, it was no take per se on it, but it was a very interesting time to be living in Los Angeles and going to law school and being in that environment, especially as at the time, non-lawyer, aspiring lawyer, someone who didn't, have a law license and was just trying to take all this in. But it was a circus. It was a circus, a lot going on. All right. Don't want to he's live, Sean D. Yeah, it was interesting. And what was that Luna? There was an Italian restaurant in Santa Monica where Nicole, his wife, worked, and a good friend of mine worked there with his wife and knew his wife. Anyway, I won't go there. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. Yep, remember those days, guys? It was surreal. Okay, 75 minutes. Thanks, everybody. I will cut it off here. If you don't mind, hit the like button for me and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. And we'll be out next week when they're live. And this week, I will. That's great. That's great. DJ, later. Thank you, man. I will be back throughout the week with what's going on. Let's see. Okay, a lot of uncertainty. Let's see how markets open on Monday. Let's see what metals do. I wouldn't be surprised to see some reversal in some of this stuff. And again, not trading advice. Markets be up again. Gold pullback. Gold was up $3 an ounce. I think it closed $73 an ounce up on Friday. But again, if the expectation is rate cuts are coming and free money is going to be flowing, hi Bill, then you're going to see gold continue to do well, and you're going to see the markets keep rallying. Everything's going to keep just hyperinflating until it doesn't, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens. So Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.